I'm not even sure where I got these Tealights from, but it was a bag of 100 for, I don't know, $3 or something at the, I don't even know where I got it, but it's all these little Tealights, these little tea candles. These are super cheap, and by cheap I mean low quality, but who cares? There's a whole bunch of them, a whole mess of them, and what I've been doing is I've been separating them because I'm going to make these little fire starters with cardboard and a little tea candle cup and the wax and the wicks, and I just had a brainstorm. I just had an idea about how to maybe do all these at once in the oven. Let's see how it works. So I'm taking apart these little tea candles here. Pretty simple stuff. I've done this before with a few of these little candles. I've had really good results. The idea is that you make a candle, wax, and some sort of a, the wax is the fuel. Wax is a petroleum product. It's designed, or it burns. It actually burns as a fuel. Candles consume the fuel when they burn. That's why they get smaller. They don't just melt and pour all over everything, although they do that. And then when you light the wick, what you end up with is a candle where the flame is the entire size of the tea candle. So you get a flame this big around. It's about this tall, and it burns for, tea candles will burn for 30 minutes or so, but this thing will burn for about 10 minutes with this giant flame on it. So if your goal is to start a fire, and you don't want to, get out the cardboard and rolls of paper and cardboard, or you live where I live, in the South, in the tropic area, where there's no, and in super suburbia, right, where you can't go out into the woods and cut down trees. You can't go out in the woods and pick up sticks. There's just nothing around but asphalt, schools, fire departments, and grocery stores, and that's it. So you get in trouble if you pick up anything pretty much from anywhere. So we have to improvise. So I have some cardboard here. It's important to note that you can see kind of I don't know if you can see this or not. Can you guys see this? See the grain on this? It runs this way. That means you want to roll it this way. You don't want to roll against the grain because you'll just be fighting it constantly. So we're going to roll it this way. So we're going to cut some strips of this. And, we don't want these strips to be too much higher, too much taller, about twice as tall as the tea candle is. So we're going to say, about an inch or whatever. We're just going to cut a strip of this, about an inch. Then we'll do a few more of these. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to take the candle just like this with the wick just like that. We're just going to set it on top of here just like that. And we're going to put this in the oven, like a low temperature, like 200, or I don't even know. We'll find out what the melting temperature of wax is. We'll put it 10 degrees hotter than that, and we'll just melt it just like this. I'll put it in a cookie sheet with some aluminum foil or something like that on it, and see if we can't just get just the wax from one candle to melt down over that cardboard in a nice, easy way without having to put it in a pot, a double boiler for safe, because wax will flash if you're not careful. Pour it, making a mess all over the place. Let's just see if this will work. I think it's going to work. Turns out this is about 16 inches long, right? Yep. I had this one teacher in high school whose motto was, you've heard it before, work smart, not stupid. Once it's big enough for your mitts, and you can get a nice tight roll. And it looks about right. That's about right. It'll probably be a little hard to get on there if I try to do it with the big size here, but oh no, yeah, that's gonna work great. So now what I'm gonna do is get some tape. That's right, you guessed it. We're gonna cut on the bandsaw. Golly, what a mess. This is from a previous wax trick, which we're gonna do again for you fine folks. But for now, we're gonna try this rancid bandsaw. And we're gonna cut these into little tiny squares the smart way. Let's see if this works. Works. That worked incredibly well, and as you can see, I got all different sizes from, I went ahead and did that on purpose, cut a bunch of different sizes, and that was a lot easier than rolling up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I dropped one on the ground, 10 of these things in that short a period of time. All right, well that worked really well. As you can see, got a bunch of different heights. These different little cardboard inserts, and we're gonna have to make a few more of those, but that's all right for now. This test is gonna work really well with just the 10 or so that we need. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And so all we're gonna do now is stuff these things into the candles. All right, now that we have all these cans, all the first 10 of these little cans stuffed, we're going to try and start with, I'm going to try some of these with the wick facing up and see. What we really want here is we want to be able to saturate the cardboard, all this cardboard, saturate it with wax, fill in the tea candle cup, but saturate the cardboard with wax and leave us with a wick of some kind, some sort of, now it doesn't really matter that much if the wick is inside the cardboard, outside the cardboard, that doesn't really matter. We could pull the wicks out of these things and stuff them in here. Maybe I'll do that for a few of them just to see, we'll see which one of these works better. But in doing that, I can't just lay the candle back down onto this thing, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that. Heated the oven to the lowest possible temperature that the oven could be heated to, which was I think 170 or 180 degrees. Who knows? This oven is kind of old, so it's probably off by 10 or 20 degrees, but it couldn't matter less. Wax doesn't flash until it hits about 300 plus degrees Fahrenheit, so we're pretty safe, and it'll start to melt once it gets over 100 or so. It'll start to melt, not 100, a couple 150 or 200, or I can't remember what I read, but 170 I think is enough to get it to melt down. It melts pretty readily. So we're just going to take this and put it in the oven and watch it and see what happens. All right, so they've been in about 15 minutes. And it looks so great. It's exactly what it needed to be, right? It's exactly what it should have been. So as you can see, I just went kind of crazy. I went ahead and did all of them really very quickly. I filled up all the caps I had. I used all the candles I had. I cut a bunch of cardboard. I went back to the bandsaw again with another roll and cut a bunch, like 15 more of these things. And I just did them all in the oven at one time. It turned out to be a really great thing. I'm stockpiled now for a while because it only takes one of these, just one, to light a whole fire, because it stays burning for like 15 minutes. These little short ones, as you saw, they stay burning for like 15 minutes. And only for the price of the candle itself. Just the candle. And a little bit of electricity for the oven. Maybe 40 cents for the whole batch for the oven. And the price of the candle and a little bit of cardboard that everybody has laying around. In fact, if you're ordering nowadays, you're ordering stuff online, you got boxes everywhere. All right, so this is where we do proof of concept. We have 6 different variations here. So we're just going to light them with a couple of matches. We may drop some matches down into them, and let's see what happens. And we'll time them and see what happens. But now I'm going to start a timer, and we'll see where we get. I had to move them because the wind, when they started to get a little vulnerable, the wind just started killing them all. So I had to move them down into the fire pit, which of course was not cleaned, filled with ash. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get a little something out of this. I know this is not the first tea candle, cardboardy, fire starter thing, but I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you had a little fun watching it, and I hope you come back. If you'd like to, please subscribe to the channel. We're always going to be making stuff, and we're going to try to do a whole variety of stuff. Make it work.